Welcome to ITA's video channel. In this video, I'll show you how to rename pipes and structures in a chainage direction. I modified my drawing a bit because I want to show you how to rename parts if you have multiple branches. So I have additional branch here. So let me start with the rename command. I will rename pipes first and then I will deal with the structures. To rename parts, you must go to menu pipes, utilities, rename network parts. If you want to use ribbon, it's a little bit clumsy. You must go to modify, then you must go to pipe networks, modify again, and then there is a command rename parts. Then follow the command line. It says select first network part. So I will select first network part and next or last network part. So I will select the last one. It highlights the objects in between. If it doesn't, that means that you have a disconnected part and you must use, let's say, IDA's command connect pipes or any other tools to connect those disconnected parts. Then I hit enter. It opens a new window where I can specify the rename options. I'm not going to rename structures, so let me take that off, but I'm going to rename pipes. And for the pipes, I want to use the name P1, point next counter, because this is a branch 1. And then I will use a starting number 1. And if there is a conflict, I will rename existing parts. Then I click OK. Let me check the plan. At this point, I display the pipe diameter and I want to display pipe names. How can I do that? What I will do, I will select similar. So I selected all the labels and then I go to properties and I will change the label from diameter to name. Let me go back to plan. I will close the properties window for now. So it's P1.1, 1.2, 1.3. If I check this branch, it's still incorrect. So I need to rename this branch. So let me go to that command again, pipes, utilities, rename network parts. I can either select this structure or I can select the pipe and then I can select the last structure. I hit enter. I'm not going to rename structures. I want to rename pipes and the name will be P2 point next counter and the next counter must start at 1 and if there is a conflict, I need to rename existing parts. Then I click OK. And the pipe names are P2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and so on. Now I want to rename structures, but I need to select them for each and every branch in a chainage direction. How can I do that? I can go to ribbon, home, tool space, and then I can go to pipe networks, bulk water, and structures. Let me stretch this window a bit. And then more on the right hand side, I have some columns hidden. There's an option to hide columns, and because there were some columns which I don't need to see, I hide them. But somewhere on the right hand side, there's a column which says station as well as reference alignment. So I will sort my structures by station. But some of the structures do not have a reference alignment and they don't have a station. That's because I didn't specify the reference alignment for those structures. How can I do that? I can use IDA's set reference alignment. Okay, and if I click inside, that grid updates and I can see now reference alignment for all the structures. And let me sort it by station again. And you can see I have a station and I have a multiple or various alignments and I want alignments to be sorted as well. So I click on a reference alignment. So it is sorted by station as well as by reference alignment. And then more on the left hand side, I can sort the objects either by description or style. I will use a description for now. And you can see that I have a valves sorted by branch and by chainage direction. So I will select the valves for the first branch. Let me do that. Then I right click and I go to select. They are highlighted in a plan. While they are highlighted, I go to pipes, utilities, rename network parts. And then I want to rename structures. I will call them AV for air valves. Then this is a first branch. 1 point, next counter, and starting number must be 1. I don't want to rename pipes. And if there is a conflict, I want to rename existing parts, and then I click OK. If I hover the mouse over this grid view, it will show me the updated values. You can see air valve 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. If I zoom to plan, if I see any air valve 1.1, then somewhere there will be 1.2 and so on, air valve 1.2. If I want to rename air valves for the other branch, I can do the same. I will select the first air valve with a shift holding down. I select the last air valve, right click, select, they are highlighted. And while they are selected, I use the same command, rename network parts. I want to rename structures. It must be AV 2 point, next counter, starting number 1. And for the pipes, I don't want to rename pipes. If there is a conflict, I will rename the existing parts. And then I click OK. And the air valves are renamed in a chainage direction. And I can continue further down. For example, there is a horizontal band. So I will select horizontal band up to last horizontal band in a branch 1. Then I right click, I go to select. So they are selected. While they are selected, I go to pipes, utilities, rename network parts. Then I will change the structure name. I can call it HB 1 point, starting number 1. Tick off rename pipes and rename existing parts if there is a name conflict. Click OK and done. If I hover the mouse here, it's done. And so on. I think there is no need to show all other structures, but this is the workflow to rename structures in a chainage direction and as per each branch.